Crowds cheered and danced in Sri Lanka after finding out that the country's embattled president had formally resigned. An interim president is now in place, but protesters are still holding firm in the capital. I want to bring in Matthew Cassel now. He's a vice president. It is Friday. He's a Vice News correspondent, and he has been on the ground covering the unrest in Sri Lanka. Matthew, thanks so much for joining us. So, as you know, Sri Lanka's prime minister was sworn in as the interim president. What do we know about him, and what do the protesters want? And do the protesters, I guess, even want him to be the president?
Right. So the interim president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, is not a fresh face to Sri Lankan politics by any stretch. He's been prime minister 4 times in the past. He was installed as prime minister only in May after the former president, and now former president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa's brother, was overthrown from that same role. And he's very much seen as a close ally of the Rajapaksa dynasty that has ruled this country for much of the past 20 years. And therefore, a lot of protesters, I won't say all, but a lot of protesters are very angry and have now switched from calling on the now former president to go, and they're now asking or demanding that Wickremesinghe go, leave the country, resign, step down from his role. But he is definitely the establishment candidate. He's backed by the Rajapaksas, as I said, and he's also backed by some of the protesters who just want to see anything happen in this country to return it to stability so the economy can get back on its feet.
So I'm curious, now that the president has officially resigned, which was necessary according to the Constitution for the country to move on and get another leader, have things calmed down? Are the protesters also angry at the parliamentary members as well? I mean, are they asking for a total overhaul of the government?
Right. I'm amazed by the level of organization and I would just say like overall decency among the protesters here. I mean, usually in chaotic situations like this that I've covered, it can be hard to, get people to back down from achieving all of their demands. But protesters realized, I think, and have had many conversations with each other that after Gotabaya Rajapaksa left office, after he left the country and resigned today, which has been their main demand, that now they're going to take a step back. They're going to leave all the government buildings that they've occupied over the past week and let the political process run its course. They're going to let the politicians, see if they can come up with a suitable replacement. But this country is extremely divided. So whoever they do choose to replace Gotabaya Rajapaksa, the former president, is going to leave a large segment of this country unhappy.
You know, Matthew, when you talk about the protesters, we all saw the images the day that they sort of ransacked the president's home. But the crowds in the streets are like nothing that I have ever seen, were like nothing I'd ever seen here. And in sort of dipping into some of the coverage, what I learned is that the protesters were from all walks of life, that there were many people who prior to this economic downturn had been firmly middle class and never expected themselves to be in a position where they would have been banned from buying fuel. Can you talk a little bit about who made up that crowd?
Yeah, that's been really interesting to see, and I've perhaps only seen it in a place like Egypt in 2011 during the Arab Spring, where there is such a widespread hatred of the government that it brings together, as you said, people of all walks of life. So you have middle class, you have working class, you have people who would probably identify as being on the right of the political spectrum to the very far left. But it just goes to show how much hatred there is for the Rajapaksa family and Gotabaya Rajapaksa in particular, for what people say is having destroyed this country's economy. They were quite popular in 2019 when they returned to power after promising to restore security to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had just suffered terrible attacks claimed by the Islamic State that killed hundreds of people on the Easter holiday. And Gotabaya Rajapaksa promised to bring security back to the country and was very popular at that time. But soon after that, the economy worsened and people blamed him and his family for it. And, he's definitely been the focal point of a lot of hatred in this country over the past few years.
So a new president will have to be put in place. So for our audience who may not know, what is the process like and what's the timeline?
It's a very quick timeline. And I think people are happy that it's quick because this country is in desperate need of, most people will say, foreign loans to come in to help get the economy back on its feet. And before those loans are going to come into the country, there needs to be a government, a functioning government, and there simply isn't right now. So just today, Wickrem Singha was installed as the interim president. And in the next few days, the parliament is supposed to meet to come up with a list of candidates. But already the Rajapaksa's party, which is the biggest party in parliament, has said they're going to back the current President Wickrem Singha. So by Wednesday next week, we're supposed to know who is going to step in Gotabaya Rajapaksa's shoes to fill the role of president for the next 2 years in this country. But like I said, it's whoever that person is going to be, a lot of people are not going to be happy with him or her.
Matthew Cassel, thank you so much.
Thank you.